Because of why I search the deep through endless nights, no time to sleep. The call inside I can't deny. I'll find the light because of why.
Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a story from European history that is just, honestly, it's wild. It's one of the strangest and most dramatic things you'll ever hear about. I mean, seriously, just pause and think about that for a second. How does a huge, powerful European country just, poof, vanish? One day it's there, a major player, and the next day it's literally gone from the map. And we need to be really clear here. This wasn't some tiny little city-state we're talking about. Back in the 17th century, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was an absolute behemoth. It stretched all the way from the Baltic Sea down to the Black Sea. This place was a genuine powerhouse. But then, fast forward just over 100 years, and it's gone, completely carved up and swallowed by its neighbors. It just stopped existing. So what on earth happened? Okay, let's dive in and figure this out. All right, so the key to this whole mystery, the reason Poland disappeared, it actually starts with the one thing that made it so special in the first place. It was all about its unique political system, something they called the Golden Freedom. So in most of Europe at the time, the nobility was the super tiny, exclusive club. But not in Poland-Lithuania. No way. Here, you had this huge class of people called the Szlachta, and they were the ones calling all the shots. And when I say huge, I mean it. They made up almost 10% of the entire population. That's hundreds of thousands of people, all with the title of noble. And this massive noble class, the Szlachta, they absolutely treasured their special set of rights, this golden freedom. See, their king wasn't some all-powerful monarch like in France. Nope, the nobles elected their king. And get this, every single new king had to sign a contract, basically handing over most of his real power to their parliament, which was called the Sejm. But, and this is the big but, this golden freedom had a flip side. A really, really bad one. The very system that was built to protect the liberty of the nobles, well, it ended up being the thing that completely paralyzed the country. At the very heart of this problem was something called the Liberum Veto. It means I do not allow it, and it is as crazy as it sounds. Think of it like this. You're on a team, and one person has a magic button. If they press it, it not only stops what you're doing, it deletes everything you've already accomplished. Any single noble could stand up, say no, and not just block a law, but dissolve the entire session. And the results? Exactly what you'd expect. Total chaos. Between 1582 and 1762, a staggering 53 sessions of parliament were just blown up, often by just one guy saying no, who, by the way, might have been bribed by another country. It was government by self-sabotage. And if that wasn't wild enough, the system even had a rule for a rokos, which was, and I'm not kidding, a legal armed rebellion against the king. So the big picture here is that the entire state was intentionally designed to be weak. The nobles were so terrified of a powerful king that they built a system that couldn't reform, couldn't raise a proper army, and couldn't defend itself. Now, all this internal chaos, it wasn't happening in a bubble, right? While Poland-Lithuania was busy tying itself in knots, its neighbors were doing the exact opposite. They were centralizing, building powerful armies, and getting very, very hungry. You had these three rising powers circling like sharks, Russia, Prussia, and Austria. And they looked at Poland's political paralysis and saw a golden opportunity. They started meddling constantly, bribing those nobles to use their veto power, making sure Poland stayed weak. The last thing they wanted was a strong neighbor. They wanted a puppet. And this brings us to Poland's last king, a guy named Stanislaw August Poniatowski. What a tragic figure. He was put on the throne with the help of his ex-lover, Catherine the Great of Russia. She expected him to be her puppet, do whatever she said. But surprise, he turned out to be a genuine patriot who really tried to reform the country and save it from this impossible situation. So you end up with this awful, tragic cycle. Every single time the Poles managed to get their act together and try to fix their broken system, their powerful neighbors would see it as a threat and immediately step in to crush the reforms. But then, there was this one incredible moment of hope. Russia got tied up in a war, taking its eye off the ball for a second, and Polish reformers seized the opportunity. In 1791, they created the Constitution of May 3rd. Now, this was a huge deal. It was the very first modern, written constitution in Europe, and only the second in the whole world after the US. It got rid of that crazy Liberum Veto and was designed to finally create a strong, functional government. It was an amazing achievement, but they were out of time. That bold move, that attempt to finally build a strong, independent state, that was the final straw for their neighbors. A strong Poland was the one thing they would not tolerate. And that was it. The end came so fast. In 3 brutal stages, known as the Partitions of Poland, Russia, Prussia, and Austria just carved the country up. There was a final heroic uprising to try and save the nation, but it was crushed. The king was forced out, and by 1795, the Polish state was gone, just erased. And for the next 123 years, nothing. There was no independent Polish state. The powers that conquered it even made a deal to stop using the name Poland in official documents. They didn't just want the land, they wanted to erase the very idea of it. But here's the thing. You can destroy a state, but it's a lot harder to kill a nation. The Polish people kept the idea of Poland alive. They held on to their language, their culture, their identity through generations of foreign rule. The state might have been gone, but the nation absolutely endured. And the story has an incredible ending. Fast forward to the end of World War I, and what happens? The 3 empires that destroyed Poland, Russia, Austria-Hungary, and the German Empire, they all collapsed. And in that power vacuum, with leaders like American President Woodrow Wilson pushing for it, Poland was reborn. After 123 years, it was back on the map. So what do we take away from this whole epic story? Well, it leaves us with a really tough question, doesn't it? Can a nation's most beloved ideal, in this case this extreme idea of liberty, also be its greatest weakness? That golden freedom the nobles treasured so much, it's what made their country too weak to protect that very freedom from its enemies. It's a real paradox. Hey, if you found this story as mind-blowing as I did, do us a huge favor and hit that like button. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into history. And we really want to know what you think. Drop a comment below. Was Poland's fall its own fault because of a flawed system? Or was it just a victim of its greedy, aggressive neighbors? Let us know your take. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Because of why I search the deep through endless nights, no time to sleep. The call inside I can't deny. I'll find the light because of why.